Morning, as we talk to Sonia from Bryant Insurance about today's insurance topic.
Well, today, Rick, I want to talk about something that is really more of a safety issue, and that is heat. It's hot. It's August, it's summer, it is hot.
August is supposed to be scientifically the most miserable month of the year.
It definitely is in Texas, and I know that, being hot, extremely hot temperatures around here are nothing new, but this year, for the first time since they've been keeping records, every inch of all 50 states is forecast to have above average temperatures for the next 3 months, and that's according to the Climate Prediction Center. So it's something that everybody, all 50 states in the United States, are having to deal with right now.
So August, September, October, we're supposed to be dealing with warmer temperatures.
All over the United States, yes. And we all know that it's uncomfortable when it's hot, but it's also very serious. In 2013, 372 people in the United States died from exposure to excessive heat. So it can definitely be something that's serious and something that I thought we needed to talk about.
Well, as far as the heat goes, you got to do everything you can do to hydrate yourself. You got to make sure your air conditioner's working at a tip-top condition. But, there are things that if you don't have air conditioners are working good, you could have problems with your breakers, you could have problems with wiring, which could lead to insurance problems.
That's true. When we think about our homes and our businesses, some of the things, and I realize that, again, in Texas, we could probably teach classes and seminars about this, but the Department of Homeland Security and FEMA, actually their website has some recommendations that I thought were pretty good. For example, if you have window units, make sure that they're put in your windows snug and insulate if necessary so that there's not any extra heat coming in. If you have central air, check your ducts make sure that the insulation is done right. You can even put up temporary window reflectors to reflect heat back outside. Of course, weather stripping doors and sills to keep the cool air in. And to cover windows that receive the morning or afternoon sun with heavy drapes or shades or awnings. Those are just some little tips on things you can do to buildings to keep them from getting so hot.
Now, as far as your cars and things like that, you've got to be concerned about the spike in the heat on your car.
Right. It's recommended that, and you're going to laugh at me because I don't know anything about cars. You're the one in our house that takes care of that, and you do all of this stuff, but you are supposed to check the engine cooling and other fluids, tire pressure. You don't want to be stranded on the side of the road when it's super hot. And according to AAA, extreme heat can take its toll on all vehicle components. So make sure that you have your person that takes care of that, take care of that so that you're not stuck out when you don't want to be.
Also, there is a huge deal about the extreme heat in your cars is making sure you check for the elderly, kids, and for animals.
Absolutely. I don't get this. I think this is just awful, but there's been 23 children that have died in hot cars this year already. And on an average, 37 children die each year from heat-related deaths. Just last week in Dallas, a 3-year-old died in Dallas, which was the 21st child to die in a car in the United States this year. The child was left in the car while his dad went to a meeting, and temperatures reached 98 degrees, and he died. And then back in June, 3-year-old twins died after they were found in a pickup truck outside their homes in Louisiana. So the moral to that story is never leave a child unattended in a car. Never. And if you see a child that's unattended in a car, call 911. Children overheat 4 times faster than adults. A child is likely to die when his body temperature reaches 107 degrees, and that can happen in minutes. Even in 70-degree weather, a vehicle can reach life-threatening temperatures quickly. So, again, don't leave your child in the car. And, of course, the same thing goes with elderly people that are unable to take care of themselves, and your pets, of course, too.
There's a lot of things with the heat we got to be concerned about. There are things that you need, I guess precautions, things you need to think about before you get out there and before you start messing around?
Well, if you are out in the heat, you need to make sure you drink plenty of water, even if you're not thirsty. That's important. Your fluid intake needs to be up. And then avoid, if you do need to work outside, try to avoid the warmest parts of the day. And of course, my favorite is stay indoors as much as possible. That's kind of my theme all the time, but that's just a little joke there. But of course, you want to make sure you wear sunblock, have a hat to make sure that you're not getting sunburnt, and to limit your intake of alcoholic beverages while you're out in the heat.
Now, as far as, dealing with, let's say, you're an employer, you have employees that are going to be working outside. What are some of the things employers can think about doing to save themselves some problems?
Yeah, I mean, I make the joke about staying inside, but obviously that's not possible. We have work that has to happen, and there's people that have to work outside in the heat. And the OSHA has some recommendations to make sure that you provide your workers with water, plenty of water and shade so that they can get away from the heat. And if somebody's new or hasn't been working outside, allow them to gradually increase their workload and let them take more frequent breaks so that they can acclimate to the heat. And then be prepared for any emergencies and train your people on what to look for in case someone is getting overheated. And to prevent heat-related illnesses, you need to drink water at least every 15 minutes, even if you're not thirsty. Rest in the shade to cool down. Wear a hat and light-colored clothing. Learn the signs of heat illness and what to do in an emergency, and keep an eye on your fellow workers. So those are just a few tips, and probably not telling anybody stuff that they don't already know, but it's going to be hot. It's going to be hot for at least another month and probably even longer. So just be careful out there and do what you can do to prevent illness or injury because of this excessive heat.
A lot of times we sit and think about that, we got to be careful about space heaters and fireplaces and things like that in the winter. Well, during the summer, we also have to deal with the fact that, you've got to watch for faulty wiring and things around your home because there's got a lot of stress put on the wiring at your house. Making sure your homeowners and policies and insurance policies are up during this time of year are just as important as they are during the cold time of the year.
Absolutely. If you have any questions or if you want us to look at your policies, talk to you about your coverages, just give us a call or come see us. We would love to talk to you and help you answer any questions you may have.
Give Brian Insurance a call at 549-2525 or look him up on brianins.com. Sonia, thank you for coming by again.
Thank you.
Stay tuned. We have more coming your way.